Okay, hello everyone. In this video we are going to see how to create a project. Basically in this video we'll see how to connect to MySQL from your Python script so that we can save our data from our Python script. That is, our user will enter the data into our Python and that will get saved into the MySQL database, right? So the first thing that we need is MySQL connector. So we'll go to pip and we are going to list it. Let us see that we have MySQL connector or not. So we have typed pip list and let us see. Over here you can see we have MySQL connector, right? So this has to be installed. If it is not installed, then we can install it by pip install MySQL, okay, and we'll hit enter and it will start downloading and it will install it. Okay, sorry, it has installed MySQL. I want MySQL connector, okay, not MySQL, that was not right. Pip install MySQL connector, right? So as you can see, it's already installed, so that's why it said requirement already satisfied. Okay, so now we will go to our spider. So we'll go to our spider 3. So either you can use a spider or ideally to connect, both of them will work fine. So in this we are going to create a new file and we'll try and save it also. Save as. So we'll navigate to a particular directory. So in my case it is D. So let me check, do I have a project folder? No, doesn't seem so. So I'll write school. Again, it's not mandatory, but it's always a good habit to save your projects in a particular folder. So we'll go there and we'll write project 1. Okay, project1.py. So now we'll check whether our MySQL connector is properly installed or not. So for that we will write import mysql dot connector. Now this is IPython console, right? We are not going to write our actual code in it, but it behaves just like a shell, so we can write simple commands and execute it, okay, as cn. Okay, and let's hit enter. So as you can see, it doesn't throw any errors. No error message is there, so that means MySQL connector is properly installed, right? So this is our project. So obviously we'll write some comments. So this is my student fee record system. Okay, so now obviously we'll import MySQL connector and ECTOR MySQL dot connector. You can see the object is already there as CN. Okay, this is done. So after that we'll go to the next line. So we can establish a connection, but before that we have to know about the database. So we'll open MySQL and create our database and the tables where we actually want to save our file. So we'll go to MySQL command line. I'll hit enter. So it's asking me the password, so I'll enter my password. So in my case it is root. So as you can see, MySQL has been opened. So I'll click for show databases. So it will show me all the databases I have. So I'll make a database. Okay, so it's a create database project. Okay, so after that I'll use my project database. Now this is something that you have to do only once, not every time. So once you have created a project or you have created a database, you don't need to create the same database over and over again. You can just simply use it, right? So we'll use our project database. Fine. So after that we'll create tables in it, because right now if I type show tables, so it's giving me an empty set, right? So we don't have anything. So we'll try and create a student table where we will actually keep the details about the student, and we'll also create a fee table where we will save all the fee that has been deposited by all the students. So in that scenario it will help us to get an inventory kind of an idea. Okay, don't worry. So show tables, and after that we'll create a table. Create table student. So the columns that I want to have is an SL number, which is an int. Then we will make it auto increment, so that this gets generated by default. Auto increment, it gets generated by default, and we don't actually have to provide a serial number for everything. Then the next attribute will be, or column name will be name, and obviously it's a varchar, maybe 20 characters long, because people don't have a name longer than that. After that I'll have a role also. A role has to be unique. After that I'll have a class. So I've given role to be an integer, and now class can be an integer again, but it might have a or b, so we'll stick with varchar. And do not be like more than 10 characters, though randomly throwing memory is bad, but cannot be longer than that. And do we need anything more? So serial number, name, roll number, okay, and yeah, subject, so that we can keep track of which subject the student is studying in our tuition classes. Subject, again varchar, maybe 10 characters long again, and then we'll complete it with colon, and we'll hit enter. Okay, it says that it has to be defined primary key, right? So we'll make serial number to be primary key. Primary key, as well as we'll make a roll number to be unique. So that means every student will have a unique roll number, and we don't actually have to worry about entering a duplicate data. Okay, so our table has been created. So let's describe the table. DSC student. So now this is the table that has been created: a serial number, name, a roll number, a class, and a subject. Now here we can see that serial number is our primary key, and it's an auto increment, extra auto increment, that everything will get added by itself. So in auto increment the number starts from 1 and keeps on growing, and then we have the roll, which is unique, that is two students cannot have a same roll number, right? So now we will try to connect to our database, and let's see what happens, right? So our database has been created, so we'll go back to our Python again. So we'll write db, we'll write db con is equal to cn dot connect, will be connect, db.connect, and then the name of the database. So my host is equal to localhost. Obviously you can put the IP address also. Then my user is, I think it is root, and localhost is, and my user I've already written. So pass wd, again you have to keep it secret, but again it's just a test database, doesn't matter actually. Root, and we will also mention the database database which is project, right? We have to put it in try catch, but we will not worry about it right now. So then we'll try and check whether the connection has been actually established or not. Okay, db com. So we'll save it. We have saved it. We'll go to file, then saves. Okay, and then we'll go to file, then we'll save it, and then this green play button, that is our run, so we'll run it. So over here in the IPython console, you can see a connection object has been created at this particular hex address. Okay, so that means our connection with the database is successful. So as our database connection is successful, now it's always a good practice to keep the database connection inside try and except block. Fine. So obviously we'll put a tab in here, and I don't need to print the database connection. So what we'll do, we'll accept, that is in case of any exception if it occurs, and then we'll just simply write that print connection not successful. Okay, so we'll just simply say that connection is not successful, else we'll just give a statement connected, or even if it's not necessary, right? So if I save it, if I go to file and save and then run again, okay, and there is no print statement that the connection is not successful, that means the connection has been successful. Now the next thing that we are going to do is create a cursor. Now cursor is actually a kind of an object that will help you to execute your queries. So we'll create a cursor object. Now it's a variable name, you can put whatever you like, but you know that is what everybody does, so we'll do that. Or you can also write it to be cur, that is also good. Cursor is a large word, so we'll write dbcon dot cursor. Okay, so you can also already see the connection cursor object is being detected. So now using this cur object we can actually execute query. So that is what we will try and do. So cur dot execute. Now here I can just put a string, query string, right? So I'll just try and put a string. Fine. So now string, okay, stri. Fine. Now I'll try and create string, right? So we don't have string, so we have to create it first. So what we will do, we'll go there and we'll declare it stri is equal to an empty string. Fine. So now we will just try and get all the values. So my table needs all these values, at least the name, roll number, class and subject. That is what we will search over here. We'll get this from our user, right? So nm stands for name, so is equal to input will be enter the student name, right? After that, what else did we have? The order is also relevant. We had role, class number and subject. So we'll have rl.cl.sub. Now mind me, these are not 1, these are L. Okay, so they are just L. So roll number is an int, so I'll convert it or typecast it to an int. So we'll get inside input enter the roll number which is equal to int input So I'll ask for enter the class, then it has to be varchar, so I'll just simply get it done like that, but actually it's not gonna matter, and subject will be actually a string, so no matter, we don't actually need to put int or anything else. Enter the subject of the enter the subject of the student. Now we can actually create our string. So string string or stri is equal to string, not string, insert into student values. Now I can also mention the names of the column that I want to put the value explicitly. So the name of the columns were name, role, class, subject. Name, comma, role, comma, class, subject. Okay, and in the values I'll put some curl brackets so that it actually gets done. So I want 4 values and I'll enter 4 values, right? So dot format, in here we are going to pass those 4 values. So the correct sequence, let me check whether the correct sequence is there: name, role, class, and sub. So it is nm, comma rl, comma cl, comma sup. So we have that, right? And we can also pass it to str. Fine. So let's save it and let's check whether it works or not. Save. Now if I go to my MySQL and I'll select it, select star from student, right? So it says empty set, there is nothing in it. So now we'll try and execute this query and see whether something has been created or not. And obviously we need to close the connection, that is very much important. So cn, that was my connection object, right? Sorry, dbcon dot. Now if you don't close it at certain times, your query effect will not be reflected, right? So again I'll save it and I'll run it. So over here you can see a prompt is being given to enter the student's name. So I'll enter maybe Amy. Now it's asking me for the student's roll number. Again, remember that it has to be unique, so I'll put 1 because she is my first student. So her class is maybe 10A, maybe her class is 10A, and her subject is maybe English, right? English. So now it says connection not successful. I think something went haywire, an exception has occurred. Okay, so now as we are met with an error, so that means we need a mechanism to understand what kind of error has occurred. Actually it's not a connection error because the connection has established and we checked it also. So what we are going to do, we are going to import error module from my MySQL connector. Okay, so from MySQL dot connector will import error. So obviously is capital. Okay, we'll use error and we will try to handle it in our except column. So we will write error as E, okay, and we will report this error so that we can understand what's wrong with it, right? So well, within double inverted comma, the error is, then we will just simply throw the variable that is E, okay, and we'll save it. So save, and then we'll try and run it. Okay, so here we have our name to be entered. So maybe Amy we have entered, and after that roll number maybe 1, class maybe 10A, and then enter the subject of the student. We'll make sure that the subject of the student is maybe English. Now you see the problem is that it is reporting Amy in the field list, so unknown column. The thing is that it is missing the inverted commas. Because of that it's happening just like that. So we will put some inverted commas in front of it, right? So here again, so roll number is an integer, we don't need that, we don't need to put the inverted commas in an integer. So class can be an integer, and obviously subject will be an varchar. So wherever we think that there will be a varchar, we'll put inverted commas, right? So here name is a varchar, so that's why we have to put inverted comma before the format. Roll number is an integer, I don't need that. Class again is a varchar, so yes, we will do that, and subject is also a varchar, right? So now let's save it again, save, and we'll try and run it again. So again it will ask me for the name, so I will enter Amy, right? The roll number is 1, class is 10A, that is a section, right? And subject is English, right? Okay, so now you can see there is no error being reported, and we have also added a db.commit. You can see over here db.commit. Now commit, what it does in MySQL, it saves your result sets. Okay, so now we will go to our MySQL. We'll describe our table first. Describe student. So this was our table with name, roll number, class, and subject. Earlier we didn't have any data in it. Now let's check whether the data has been inserted or not. Select star from student, right? And surely we see that we have Amy in here, roll number, class, and subject. And again the serial number is 3 because we made certain errors, and because of that the count has been increased to 3. Right, so it's starting from 3, and all the remaining entries will be entered, right? So now let's repeat the procedure. Let's run the code yet again. So it will ask for a different name, so I'll add another name, maybe Caleb, right? The roll number is 2. Again, do remember the roll number was a unique column, so you cannot just simply put 1, it will not work. So class maybe again 10A, and the subject of interest is maybe SST. Okay, and let's hit enter. Again, no errors, no nothing, so we'll check. Again, we'll run the select star from student command, and surely we see our next entry has been entered, right? So this is how you can establish a connection between your Python script and your MySQL. Now you can see that all the data has been entered from the Python script into the MySQL, right? So that is how you can create a table and insert data into MySQL from Python. Now this concept can be elaborated into making a full-fledged project where we will have an interface or a program, a simple program just like that, which will through which we will enter data into MySQL, and obviously we can retrieve data also. So if I want, I can also run a for loop to get the data in here, right? So let's see how to get the data without even using our MySQL, right? So this is one of the queries. So I'll create another query object, and we'll execute select star so that we get all the data. Select star from student table, right? Student, and I will not execute this one currently because else I have to enter the data yet again, and I don't like to enter the data. 2 rows are there, and we'll see how to get those 2 rows, right? So we can write for I in, so cursor object cur, cursor, it's cur. I can write print I. Okay, now let's see what happens. Again we'll save it, save, and we'll run it. Okay, these input commands are there, though it will not save anything, but those input commands we have not commented out, so we have to enter something. So maybe I'll enter some rubbish data in there. Roll number maybe 3, class is maybe 10A, and subject maybe CS or something. Right. So anyway, the data has not been entered. X3 10A is not entered because here this query line was being commented out, so it doesn't get executed. But the interesting thing is that we ran the for loop over the cursor object, and surely we can see all the data that was present in my table is here, right? So these 2 rows were there, Amy 1 10A English, so you can see Amy 1 10A English, and again we have Caleb 2 10A SST, we have Caleb 2 10A SST. Now this is the complete mechanism of connecting from Python to MySQL through MySQL Connect, and also an interesting part about how to debug the errors which might come up, and feed the data into the database and retrieve the data from the database. Now this small concept can be used for bigger projects also, where you can actually develop a while loop where this code will keep on running, where you can enter your data and retrieve the data in this format. Okay, thank you.